welcome to the fourth edition of the Vancouver International Black Film Festival, created by the Fabian Colax Foundation and co-presented by Global News BC. The Vancouver International Film Festival runs from December the 13th to the 17th, 2024, online and in person. You can find a complete program and grab your online or access pass and in person individual ticket on vancouverblackfilmfestival.com. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Juliet Mousy. I'm a film director, broadcast journalist, and VIBFF Black Market Coordinator. Before we begin, I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are located on the unceded and occupied land of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation. We respect the continued connection with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationship with Indigenous and other people within the Vancouver community. Today, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic called curating cinematic experiences, the film programmer's role in festival selection. This panel explores the work of a pivotal role of a film festival programmers in selecting films for a film festival. Join us as we learn how the captivating lineup that aligns with the festival's vision, theme, and audience preferences is selected. We have the pleasure of speaking with Jean Francois Main. Hi, Jean Francois.
Hi.
Can you tell us who you're talking to today? Because I know you, but I know the other
Right.
people, the audience, some people that are watching this may not know who you are. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background as a head film programmer?
So, yeah, my name is Jean-François Meillan, as you can see. I'm the head film programmer for the Fabien Cola Foundation. So, I have, as a head film programmer, I have to find and select films and review films for the different film festivals that the foundation puts on. So it's a very challenging role.
I know that I can
Mm.
tell that because I mean you are the head programmer for all the festivals. So how that brings me to my first question. How do you ensure that the films that you selected for various cities, various festivals, uh,
Yeah.
uh, the films that you selected for the various festival authentically represent the diversity within the Black community of that particular, city? Because we are
Right.
Black community, but the Black community of the various cities or various provinces may be different. So how do
That's
you
right.
ensure, the diversity is being met?
It's challenging to do that specifically, like to try to curate programming that responds to the cultures that you find within a Black community in a specific city. We do try to do that as much as we can. But what we really our main objective, because that's kind of a very specific thing to aim for. What we aim for on a broader uh, level is to just try to gather films from the African diaspora that represent stories from the African diaspora and from Africa, and to try to bring those to Black communities, knowing that you know if the film isn't specifically from the country or culture that they're from, knowing that they're seeking connection to the diaspora, to the African diaspora.
Mm, okay.
Mhm.
That so talking about that connection and getting to know the city and linking it to the diaspora and all that, what are some of the challenges that you go through on a normal day, as a film programmer? What are some of the challenges? Because I can see
Mhm.
that going through other city, especially if you're not physically in that particular province, it can be challenging. So tell us some of the challenges that you go through.
Well, yeah, I mean, geographically, it is challenging. We have festivals, 6 festivals throughout Canada,
Mm,
5, sorry. and so you have to try to create a specific experience for the context that you're creating it for. So
Mm-hmm.
we try to adapt our programming to the audiences that we know are in each city. And that becomes challenging sometimes, because in terms of finding films, sometimes the timing isn't right. And we really want to have it for specifically Halifax or specifically Toronto, but we have to program it somewhere else, because that sometimes the timing isn't right in terms of distribution. um, Honestly, like, one of the biggest challenges for
Mm-hmm.
us as programmers is to find films that
Mm-hmm.
haven't been released yet in theaters or streaming,
Yeah.
and to try to get those films and show them first before they're
Mm-hmm.
released in theaters or streaming. and
Mm-hmm.
and so that's challenging. That's very challenging. And usually to find films, we connect with the industry, with other festivals, and
Mm-hmm.
see what they're doing with black films. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So
Yeah.
I know the Fabian Collage Foundation normally, works with emerging artists. Like
Yeah.
it's a training. Let's say it's like an incubation for like emerging talent people, and it can be like people that's the first time they're making their films. You know,
Yes.
like how do you identify and promote emerging Black filmmakers, and what criteria do you use to evaluate their works?
Oh, that's a good question, but it's not a question for me, because I am not in charge of that emerging film
No,
programmer
I mean,
program.
like
Though
let
I
me
do
put it
believe
in that
it's
direction again.
incredibly important. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Let me put
Yeah.
it in the direction where it will be your question now. So, do you
Okay.
ever select films? Let's say, do you ever select films from emerging artists or emerging filmmakers?
Oh, yes. And they're
Okay.
usually short films.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, then you have features as well, first features. Those are usually
Mm-hmm.
films that are by emerging filmmakers. So yeah, so
Okay.
first time films as well, features. Yeah, and so yeah, selecting those films is important. Sometimes we have to prioritize that. We have to say we're not gonna take all the films by established filmmakers that we
Mm-hmm.
want. We're going to allocate a space in our programming for these filmmakers, knowing full well that they're probably not going to get much of a chance
Mm-hmm.
anywhere else in terms of streaming or theaters, because it's usually a bit tough for emerging filmmakers
It
on
is.
those platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we're here. Festivals is to
Mm-hmm.
kind of help filmmakers take that first step and promote them, and encourage them to take the next one.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that. Like I'm a product of
Yeah.
the First Wave Institute. I'm
Okay.
excited about that because sometimes if this is your first film and you don't even know how it looks like, you don't even know how it sounds like, because for somebody to select your film to put it on the big screen for their audience and for it to go through the process of, fit into their film selection process, then the film has to get to a point where they will say it's okay, but what you guys are doing is like you are taking them, teaching them, letting them know it's okay to make these mistakes, it's okay to do this. That
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. It kind of gives people for me it gave me the confidence.
Yeah.
It gave me the confidence. Let's see my film on the big screen, and that was like my first one was like, oh, okay, this is good. It gave me
Yeah.
that confidence, and I know a lot of people were tested that, especially the emerging artists. They were tested that.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to get that confidence in a space with other emerging artists, and to
Hmm.
kind of do that together, and build networks. So yeah, in that respect, like our festival, I find that's one of the uh, most important things that it does.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. Agree. So
Mhm.
in audience, let's say the audience, let's talk about the audience engagement with the film selections that you
Yes.
do. In what ways do you engage your audience? Beyond the film
Yeah.
screening to foster like a deeper conversations, because I know sometimes after this films you do Q&As in a way
Yeah.
to connect with the audience to let them like for us to know what they think and for the filmmakers to know what was right, what was wrong.
Yeah.
So in what ways do
Yeah.
you engage with them?
So I think it starts with listening. We select all these films, hoping that they're going to find their audiences, and then what we do is we even try to help the film find its audience. If we have when we have time, and we usually take the time to reach out to different organizations, different associations,
Mm,
different groups that we know will want to see this a certain film. So
mm,
that's one that we really try to
mm,
spread the word. And then and then once you're there, um, watching the film with them and
mhm,
getting their reactions is very important in terms of like seeing how they react to the film and how they engage with it. And then then it's easier to actually actively engage with them once you know how they feel about it. And we usually do that with Q&A sessions after the film. Well, we'll give them, the audience, the opportunity to meet the filmmaker, to ask the filmmaker questions about the film. um, and where when I said we reach out to organizations and invite them, sometimes we'll do free ticket giveaways as well, just to try to get the right people there to have a great conversation after the film. Like everybody loves to have a discussion after a movie. It raises all these thoughts and ideas, and you
mm,
want to share that with other people. And if you have the opportunity to actually discuss it with the person who made it, it's gold. And that's something you can't find anywhere else. You can't find it on streaming platforms or anything else. You
mm,
have to go to a film festival to experience that, and I think that's why a lot of people come.
mm. It looks
Yeah.
like your role is very, very important when it comes to a film festival. Like when I say a film festival, I'm talking about a film festival that you can never forget. You know,
Yeah, yeah, it's supposed to be an unforgettable experience. It's supposed to be
unforgettable
like,
experience. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like a
Wow.
live thing. Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's
Wow.
definitely. I mean,
Talking
especially in
about.
this day and age, with
Mhm,
streaming and all that, and theaters kind of, losing popularity.
mhm,
You want to make it worthwhile for people to come out.
mhm.
Yeah.
Agree. Agree.
Mhm.
Agree. So let me ask you this question. Can you walk us through how you do your selections, like how
Yeah.
you do your selection process? What film is, I mean, I know at the end of the day you have so many choices of films to choose from, so many filmmakers to choose from. How do you, weigh and choose which one is which and all that? I'm so
Yeah.
interested in that question.
Yeah. It's a, like I tell people when I meet them, I usually tell them, yeah, I watch movies for a living. And then they're all excited about that. And then I tell them that I watch 60 movies a
Oh
month for a
no.
living. And
No.
then they're like, oh, maybe not what I would want to do. Um, but it's very challenging. But I mean, you get to a point where you see a lot of movies, you get
Mm,
an idea of the mistakes that can be made. You get an idea of what can be achieved,
mhm,
and you look at different things. You kind of um, select them according to different criteria, like originality, or great directing or writing.
mm,
So usually when you're going to actually give a movie a green light to be considered to be at a festival, it's because it's first of all something that you would love that you would have been happy to have seen yourself in a movie theater. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
want to be honest in that respect. But and then you have to be able to project yourself into the audience and see what other people would like as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then, you know, the criteria is always the same. It's how original is the film. You know, how much creativity is it putting on display? Is it a film that you know, is like every other film, or is there something that really sets it apart from the rest? Um, so that's important. The technical qualities need to be mastered in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want people to be watching the film and to know that they're watching a film. You want them to be able to kind of escape into the story without saying, "Oh, what's going on there?" So there's so many things to consider, but in the end, you kind of have a list of things that you're going to kind of give a grade, like originality,
Mm-hmm.
cinematography,
Mm-hmm.
acting. You're going to give it a grade, and then it's going to have like it's like figure skating almost.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with the numbers. Yeah. So you have a number for each thing. You know, like originality, cinematography, performances, structure, production value. And then you put all those numbers together, and then you end up with a number that gives you kind of an idea. Oh, that movie's kind of like a 6.7, you know, or a 7.8.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it starts working when you have 60 films on your list, like in a month, you know. Then you need kind of references like that. So I kind of grade the films. I don't publicly grade them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for my own benefit,
Mm-hmm. Of
but
your
it
own.
helps me like kind of decide which films
Mm-hmm.
have better qualities than others, you know, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. So, how do you deal with the filmmakers? You know, the crew, the producers, and all that. That's the film. You know, how do you deal with them?
Yeah,
Because if you approach me first, that, oh, Juliet, I've seen this your film. I want to, see if it has any potential to go on my film festival. You're giving me some sort of hope. So if you come back to me
yeah.
and be like, "Oh no, we were not able to," how do you deal with that? Because that would be,
Yeah.
how, like, I'm interested in that part because
Well,
hearing you talk about that process, I'm like, I should ask you that
well,
question.
I'm just going to tell you, first of all, thank God I'm not the only one that has to make a decision on whether a film
Mm,
is in the festival. We have kind of a
mm.
selection committee.
Oh.
Um, but I am the messenger, you know.
You take
If
on the blow.
somebody, I take the blame, the blow. You know, I have to be the one who says,
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry, they didn't like it," you know,
Oh
something like that.
no.
So
Oh.
that's tough. I mean, it's always
Mm,
nice to approach them, but then to have to share bad news, that's tough. But you
mm,
always try to be encouraging. You always have to, you know, say, listen, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing the next film, and that
mm,
kind of thing, you know. I
mm,
mean, sometimes it's, and I always try to remind them, it's not necessarily because the committee didn't like the film. It's
mhm,
usually because maybe we have another film like that we've already selected, you
mhm,
know, or there's other reasons why we won't program it. You know, it might have
mhm.
already played at a festival where we want to
Yeah.
show it. There might be other reasons, you know, but it's not necessary. It's not, you know, and filmmakers always take it as a judgment, like it's a good or bad film, you know, like which is, you know, what it used to be, film criticism: two
That's
thumbs up
just
or
straight
two
up
thumbs
though.
down, right?
That's it.
So,
Like I was,
but yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's no way around around it.
I am not a
Sometimes,
critic. Yeah, so I'm
sometimes
not a
film
critic.
programmers will make it look
Yeah,
like, oh, it's different. We just, but
no,
like,
no,
uh, you know,
no. I like, I just want everybody. I want it to be perfectly clear. I'm
Mhm.
not the one who makes those decisions
Yeah, there's a
necessarily.
group
I
of
mean, I'm
people
part
that
of that,
make it.
but yeah, usually, you know, if we look at your film, it's because we're interested, because we think
Mhm,
there's some
mhm,
appeal, and then we have to see, you know, like if it fits in our program.
mhm.
You know? So
Yeah.
it's not a judgment.
It's a
Okay,
feedback. We
I
got
just
it.
want everybody to know that
Yeah.
it's not a judgment. Okay,
It's a feedback. We know.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
part
I
of the
mean,
process.
so
Yeah,
before, before you even approach these filmmakers, before you even see films somewhere that you make up your mind, or the group of people make up their mind that, okay, we want to go for this film and see if it is, big screen worthy enough. What are some of the
right.
things, you know, what?
Yeah.
What
Big
are some of the
screen
things that
worthy
you do?
is what we aim for.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
What are some of the
for
things?
big screen worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's first of all, you don't want anybody to
Mm.
be coming to your film festival, to be sitting in a movie theater, and to think I could be watching this at home.
You're right.
You don't want that. You do
Mm-hmm.
not want that. So you try to select films that are big screen worthy,
Mm-hmm.
which means like that have a certain level of photography,
Mm-hmm.
have achieved a certain level of excellence in terms of photography, in terms of sound. That's really going to make that theatrical experience count.
Mm.
Yeah.
So is it difficult to get the films? Take it as if maybe for this Vancouver Black Film Festival, we need about 20 films. Is it difficult? Is it always difficult to get the 20 films, or sometimes you get more than it? And now the difficult part is choosing the 20. How is it always compared to different cities? How is it always like?
Well, I mean, with short films, it's usually we usually we get enough films. That's no problem. We have more than we much more than we can show.
Mm-hmm.
And so making decisions for the short films is kind of difficult, and then so you want to once you've kind of shortlisted some films,
Mm-hmm.
see which ones work together in terms of themes and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, to try to get a program that that's interesting, that's thought provoking, and that one film somehow reflects upon another film in the program, and there's a kind of like some kind of dynamic
Mm-hmm.
energy between the films in the program. So for short films, it's yeah, it's some tough choices, a lot of tough choices,
Mm.
and we don't always get to take the films that we all the films that we want.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of features, like narrative features, documentary features, that is a whole other game, because you're competing with all the other festivals who want to
Mm-hmm.
show it first. You are dealing with distribution plans by the filmmakers and the production companies that don't always align with what you would like to do with the film. So it's the features are kind of challenging. They're kind of challenging, and then there's like the studio films. The films that are going to movie theaters no matter what. They already have like a place reserved in the movie theater for them, because the studio has a deal with the distributor. No matter what the film is like, even if it's not good at all, they still need to show it. So studio films we don't get a lot of. Those are hard to get to, because the planning around those films is on such a big scale that they usually think of maybe two festivals sometimes, maybe one, maybe not even one, just the Oscars.
Just the
So,
Oscars.
right, yeah, the Oscars. They're like, we'll try the Oscars and that's it.
Yeah.
We don't want to
Mm-hmm.
go through all this film festival stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
And they don't need to necessarily. So studio films are a big challenge in terms of like we've some exceptionally we've managed to have some discussions surrounding some studio films, but it's it's a jungle out there with those studios. You know,
Mm.
it's hard to know who to talk to. It's always changing. It's that kind of thing. But also just they're on a different scale. You know,
Yeah.
and they're yeah.
Mm.
So the
Mm.
studio films are hard. So we usually go for independent ones, uh,
Mm.
art house ones, from different countries, and try to get the best ones.
Mm. So have you ever gotten to the point where you're not able to get what you need, and maybe the festival will have to, let's say, sponsor a project or write a project to get the film
Ooh,
done up to speed? Have you ever gotten to that point before?
not yet. You're scaring me. I hope that never happens. I'm kidding. That's kind of scary. We don't want to get to that point. We do not want to get to the point where we have to like ask the filmmakers to make movies. They need to keep
Mm.
asking us to show them. But we are covering that in a way with the Being
Mm.
Black in Canada program. You know, trying to nurture new filmmakers. But
Mhm.
it's never gotten to that point where we had to commission projects. But I
Mhm.
got you know, like I hope that never happens. I don't think it will. You know, people are still too so crazy that they want to make movies. They
Mm.
want to try to do that. They want, you know,
Mm.
and they'll put themselves through that, and we're grateful for that, and we want them to keep doing that, and
Mm.
hopefully without us having to
Get to that
commission
point,
the film.
because that would
Yeah,
be crazy.
that would be a lot of work, you know. That would be a lot of work for us
It
to
will
have to
be.
produce
It
these
will
things.
be. I mean, they'll have you
Yeah.
from day one, so you wouldn't have to, go through it again.
Well,
You have them from day one, so you tell them this, that.
it's kind of
Wouldn't that be
tricky
easy?
because they would have to make it good. I mean, we don't know
Mm,
how it would turn out, but yeah,
mm,
I think right now we're doing the responsible thing. We're encouraging, you know, emerging filmmakers at the very
mhm,
first step,
mhm.
and trying to help them like take the first step, which is the hardest, right?
Yeah, it's always the
Yeah,
hardest. The first step is always the hardest, but once you
yeah,
get it, that's it.
that's
Yeah.
it.
So, I hate to be the bad person here. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Let's talk about AI. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah,
let's talk
yeah.
about it.
What do you, huh?
Yeah, let's
Is
talk
it
about the
blowing your
big
mind?
elephant,
Yes,
the
it's
elephant
blowing
in the
my
room.
mind. Yeah,
The elephant in the
big
room,
elephant,
AI.
huge, huge
With the
elephant.
rise of AI, let's right now,
Machines.
OpenAI is
Yeah,
just right now scaring a lot of filmmakers and film people in the industry. With the release of the new AI that can do screenwriting job particularly for them. I'm talking about so if you know what I'm talking about. So
this could
with
do a
that,
lot of things: screenwriting, acting,
yeah, it
uh,
can it can I
film
just read that it can
animation.
now, yeah, it can now create a complete scene without we even doing it ourselves, like how
Yeah,
film directors and producers used to do. Now the AI can create it itself
you can have a
for yours
studio at
now.
home. You can have a
You can
studio at.
practically practically.
Okay.
So
Well, first of
with
all,
the
with
rise
AI,
of it.
let me
Go
just say
ahead.
one thing about AI.
Mm-hmm.
If we stop, like I was talking to a friend about it who's kind of doing research on it, and if we stopped, like if we stopped right now, we stopped the technology going forward. If we said let's
Mm-hmm.
stop now, let's stop developing technology, let's stop
Mm-hmm.
now. He told me that it would take 20 years
Mm.
for us to actually catch up to everything that's there.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So there's so much technology out there. We don't know what to
Mm-hmm.
do with it. AI is a part of that. I think it's going to take time for us to learn how to use it
Yep.
effectively. You know, at this point, I think all of our heads are spinning in a way. Like, oh my god, how do how do I deal with this thing? You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, in terms of the industry,
Mm-hmm.
the major problem with AI right now, I think, is copyright.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the biggest issue. That's keeping it from taking over everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that's going to develop. But yeah, it's a weird time in terms of like knowing what things are going to be like 10 years from now.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. We're
Yeah.
such in a weird time, but
I mean, even 5 years from now at this point,
hmm
so yeah.
yeah. The only thing that we probably can do, like, is keep ourselves up to speed. That brings me to my next question. Like,
Yeah.
looking at the rise of the streaming platforms that we have, because I know you've talked
Uh-huh.
about uh film worthy, like, so a film that's worthy enough for somebody to actually move
For
from
theaters.
her
Yeah.
house to theaters.
Yeah.
Looking at the rising streaming platforms that we have, how do you
The
see
rise
your
of
role?
Netflix and chill
Uh-huh. Like, the
kind of.
Prime
Yeah.
Videos, the Amazons, the whatever. Like, how do you
Yeah.
see your role, as a film programmer, evolving in that terms of selecting the films for this festival cycles?
Okay. So, well, right now, I mean, we have an online kind of platform in terms of festivals.
Mm,
So I think we've adapted there to kind of like offer content online during the festival, kind of exclusive content for people who won't necessarily make it to the theater.
mm,
So that's one thing we kind of focus on. And then in terms of streaming, I mean, obviously to compete with streaming, you
mm,
want to increase the value, the live value of your event.
mm,
You want to. At this point, I think the what we're doing is kind of we have multi like we're kind of exploring the multimedia as a way of doing a festival. So we have in Toronto last year we had concerts
mm,
after the screening, so people could go see a movie and then go to a concert, you know,
mhm,
and it was part of the same event in a way. So to try to create value in being there, you know, live music,
mhm,
Q&As with the filmmakers, that kind of thing
mhm,
is how we kind of are addressing the whole the rise of streaming, I would say.
mm.
Yeah.
But even the Q&As, I think now some of the programs on Netflix and, let's say, Amazon Primes, they do the Q&As too. They'll do a show and they'll do another one just for the cast to come out and do the Q&A. Have you seen
Right.
these ones before?
I haven't seen them on Amazon Prime. I've seen them like on DVDs and stuff like that, but yeah,
Oh,
not on
there
Amazon
was
Prime.
a show. There was
That's
a big
great.
show. Yeah, there was a big show on Netflix. I've forgotten the name, but it had to do. It was a sci-fi movie, and
Uh-huh.
they did another one, like just a one episode show that they brought all the cast together to do kind of like a Q&A thing that we
Uh-huh.
do during the festivals. Yeah, so
Yeah,
they're beginning to do that too.
that's great. I mean, it's scary, but I mean,
It's great. It's
you
scary.
still,
I love those
you
two words.
still, it's all kind of scary when you don't know like exactly what to do about it. But I
Mm,
mean, it makes us dynamic. It helps us grow.
mhm,
Like you don't want things to stay static. Things changing on the outside make us change as well and
mhm,
grow. And so, the fact that they're doing that, I don't think that's going to necessarily replace being able to
mhm,
be there in person and engage a filmmaker in person and shake their hand
mm,
physically, type of thing, and look them in the eyes and all that um, is something you're only going to get if you go there, and I mean, obviously, with the whole COVID thing and everything, a lot of people went online and a lot of people started streaming, but a lot of people now want to go out and reconnect with the world, and so I think we have a chance. I would say,
mm.
yeah.
That's good. So
Hmm.
now let's talk about theme.
I'm hopeful. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's good.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about theme. Is there a so? Let me put it this way. Take it as let's take Vancouver Black Film for instance. Do you put, or do you and your team put down a theme for the festival and say that, okay, for this festival, this is how we're going to do a selection process? Is there something like that, and how do you do it, and why do you put
We
that
don't.
theme?
First of all, we do not do that. We
Oh,
don't.
okay. Okay,
I
that's good.
know, I know, but I mean, you know what? I mean, those themes emerge from the selections that sometimes it just emerges from the selections that we've made. Sometimes, filmmakers um, they explore the same themes, and y'all have a year where a lot of people will submit something like around a certain theme,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's possible to do that, but given how hard it is to put a program together, how hard it is to get these films when you're competing with other festivals and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to be that selective, I would say, in
Mm.
terms of like selecting a group of films according to a certain theme. You work with what you have, you work with what you
Mm-hmm.
can get, and so sometimes that's possible, but usually I
Mm-hmm.
would say it isn't. Not for what we're doing, because we already have a
Yeah.
theme, right? We're the Black Film
Mm-hmm.
Festival,
Yeah.
so that the theme is, there's like a big theme that's there already, and then you have themes within that, definitely. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have enough films that are around a certain theme within that we'll be able to put together, but we don't even officially
Yeah.
say it,
It
but
just happened.
we'll try to get them close together in the program. We'll try
Mm.
to put them so they work together in the program anyway.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because sometimes it feels like
Some
the films that
festivals,
you
yeah,
watch. Yeah,
yeah,
if you, I asked this question particularly because sometimes the films that you see, like the moment you see the lineup and you put one or two films together, you're like, oh, did they sit to talk about a
yeah,
film of this festival? Sometimes it feels like that. That's why I asked you that. So it's good to know that
yeah. Well,
not
I think it's
something
it's also because of trends,
that. Mm-hmm.
like let's say one year, there's a big story, like let's say George Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
and then a lot of people will make movies about police violence, for example.
Yeah.
So there's
Mm-hmm.
different trends, and so then yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
So do you go by the trend to select the films?
Uh-huh.
Talking about trends,
Well,
do you go by it?
yeah, yeah. Do we
Oh.
go by the? Well, in a sense, we can't resist um, those trends, because we have to choose within the
Mm-hmm.
films that are created according to those trends,
Yeah.
or against those trends. It depends. Some people will go with it, some people will go against it.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, it really depends, I would say.
Yeah, because I just
Yeah,
feel like it's a spotlight, even in for film, I think it's a spotlight. The moment there is a trend going, you can either choose to go with it or not go with it. Depending
yeah,
on depending on what's going on, and then the feedback from the people, the audience.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we
Well,
definitely need to keep it in mind, yeah, I would say.
yes. Yes,
Mhm.
that's right. What makes you fulfilled? This job, what's the most fulfilling part about being
Oh, okay,
in
well, let me tell you about that, because I am passionate about this
I'm
job.
ready to hear about that.
Yeah. um Honestly, seeing the audience satisfied at the end of the film, obviously that's the best part. I mean, and that comes from just having grown up in the Black community,
Mm,
and knowing that these are audiences that in a way feel like this programming represents them. And so just to see those audiences, and then
mm,
why bigger audiences, not necessarily just from the Black community, but connect with these films. That is certainly the most satisfying part. Sitting in a movie theater, hearing people laugh at a film, hearing people enjoy, like find relief,
mm,
in a film. I love that. I could see a film 100 times with different audiences, just to hear them react, and because they never react the same way. And some people are
mhm,
going through this, some people are going through that, but and some people need to see this moment in the film, some people need to see that moment. So I find it very fulfilling to just sit in the audience after choosing all these films and
Mhm.
going through all the trouble of getting them to the festival to just sit with the audience and watch it with them
Yep.
on the big screen, which I don't have at
Mhm.
home, by the way, and to experience it with them for the first time on the big screen, that is
Mm,
priceless for me. Absolutely priceless.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Uh,
And the other question.
mhm.
Have you had the opposite feeling before? Have you have to dealt with like deal with the opposite side of fulfillment? Do you understand what I mean? How,
Yeah,
have you had a
an
backlash?
unfulfilling time, and
Yeah,
in terms
yes.
of,
The
you mean
day
in
have you
terms,
had a day that you feel like I feel I hope I wasn't I didn't do bad or something I did bad and I didn't want to be a film programmer anymore. Have you gone through that day before?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'd say like certainly like there are days where you're rushing against deadlines, you are trying to do your best, and things aren't coming together. I mean,
Mm,
certainly, we all have those moments, you
mm-hmm.
know. So, but I mean, in terms of like experiencing it with audiences and festivals, like times where woo, like the only times where I
Mm-hmm.
actually felt like I unfulfilled would be like going to a movie that we've
Mm.
programmed and seeing two people there. That's
Yeah.
unfulfilling. Yeah, when you
Oh
fight
no.
that hard to get a movie, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's a film that
Mm.
if the right people knew about it, it would be full, like, and they would be so happy to have seen that film. You just feel like it's a missed opportunity, like it's a missed
Yeah.
meeting, between a film and people who just needed to see it, or would have loved to see it. So that's the
Oh.
unfulfilling part. I guess it relates to the first part of the question as well.
Amazing, amazing. I am so excited
Yeah.
about this
Mm.
conversation. Is there anything that you want to say? Any last word you want to say? I mean, even to people who want to be
What
film programmers, but they
we're
don't know,
okay.
you know,
We're
what to
done. We're
do or
already
where to
okay.
go, what to say. What's your last word for
Okay.
them?
Film programming. I'd
Yeah, I mean your
say
last word.
last words. Watch a lot of
Mm.
movies. Watch a lot
Oh,
of movies and
okay.
talk about them. Yeah.
What about people
This,
watching a lot of movies? Are
then
they
talk
ready to
about
be
them.
film
Every movie you
programmers?
watch, huh? Sorry.
I said, what about the people watching movies already? Are they film programmers?
Oh, I
Are they
see.
on the road?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So watch a lot of movies, talk about them, and go to festivals. A lot of festivals. Talk to programmers. Talk to programmers. See if you can become friends with a programmer. Just kidding.
Oh,
No, talk to
okay. Well,
programmers.
those of you watching, those of you watching, if you ever want to be a programmer, please reach out to the programmer here.
No, I'm no, but I mean, go to festivals, talk to programmers, participate in Q&As, you
Hmm,
know, experience the magic of the festival over and over, and
hmm.
definitely that's definitely the thing to do. I would say, come to the Vancouver International Black Film Festival and check it out.
Yes, please come on,
Yeah,
come out and see the amazing lineup that our film
yeah.
programmer has put together and
Yeah,
the
if you
team.
want to be a programmer, here's my advice. If you want to be a
Mhm,
programmer, watch a film program from
mhm,
beginning to end. Watch every film in the program. Okay,
mm.
get a perspective. Get the all access pass. Watch every film in the program, and tell us what you think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You heard it. You heard him. So let's do
Mhm.
it. I'm excited. This brings us to the end of the conversation. I hope it was inspiring. At the same time, it was educative. And whatever you needed, you've heard from it. If you have any questions, please reach us at Vancouver International Black Film Festival on Facebook, or you can shoot us an email, and then we'll be happy and willing to respond to any questions that you have. At this point, we've reached the end of this panel. of 2024 Vancouver International Black Film Festival. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, John Francois, for coming in today. We did it. Yeah.